This is the first tutorial video for Arcade County. In this video I'm going to cover the interface, give you a general idea of how to access all the panels, where everything's located, how to create levels, and how to get your graphics and your sounds and everything into your levels. Just very general video right here. The next video I'm going to cover creating a title screen. So let's take a look at what we've got when we first start up a new game in Arcade County. And there's a lot of stuff on this screen. And first of all, a little bit of word of warning. I don't write scripts. I don't plan any of this out. I just hit record and go. I may slice videos together, but I will make mistakes, and you may see a bug here or there. I will acknowledge it. I'm not going to hide anything from anyone. I hate when people try to pretend they're something they're not. We're all flawed, so I hope you enjoy my flaws. I hope you get a good laugh, a good kick out of it, good kick/laugh out of it, because I certainly will. And I am just way too lazy to sit here and meticulously go through and make sure I look really cool in all of my videos. So, starting off, this is what you're going to see when you first open up Arcade County. So you've got this little box that follows our cursor around, letting us know where the camera is and letting us know our mouse position. The left one, of course, you can see it's going up as I go to the right. It's a mouse position horizontally, and then as I go down, that's the vertical. We can right click to scroll our camera around. You see the scroll bars move. Down here is our map size, or level size I should say. It's 2 screens horizontally, 1 screens vertically, so you see we're not able to scroll down. If we hit this button right here and we turn it to 2 vertical screens, you see that the scroll bar does move and we can scroll it down. But I'm going to make this a 2x1. You always start on level 0, and level 0 defaults to the title screen. And since pretty much everyone's game is going to start on the title screen, we can rename this. We don't have to have a title screen here. The difference between a title screen and an actual level is literally nothing. It's all the same. There is no difference whatsoever. The difference that you will create is that you may run a cutscene on the title screen to show the title of your graphic. You may play different music, and you may disable the controls of a character. You don't have to put tiles, but you can. And when I do my title screen demo here in the next video, I will actually use tiles. I'm going to do some, have some fun, use some old Sega Genesis Ghouls and Ghosts graphics. That'll be a lot of fun. Down here, this is going to show us how big our game is once we've started adding some assets. And you'll see a silver bar and a gold bar. This is letting us know what type of ticket we need to upload our game. As long as we're in this silver, we can use a silver ticket, but once we hit this gold, we've got to use a gold ticket to upload our game. Here's the play button. We hit this and our game will start playing. You see the timer starts counting down. We can pause it. We can reload the level. See, it loads very, very quickly. Everything is quite optimized. You'll notice when you hit that play button to play your level, you notice that it didn't have to compile. You didn't have to sit there and wait 20, 30 seconds for your game to compile. Without question, this is the best feature of Arcade County, and it's the reason why I made it in the first place. Because when I went around and I looked at all the game-making applications, I could not find one where it didn't have to sit there and have to compile your entire game for you to test it. That's ridiculous. Everything in Arcade County is real-time. You get real-time results. You're making games, I don't know, maybe 100 times faster than you'd make it in anything else. And that's really what fueled me to do this project in the first place, because I couldn't believe people were unable to have their game-making applications where they didn't have to compile it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So over here we've got our initial level settings. There's a bunch of stuff over here. Most of this is self-explanatory. I'm going to go over a few things. Right here, this is the starting camera settings, and this is where the camera is going to be pointing. And as I said, we can scroll this around. For example, let's set the camera to 260. We hit that button. Now when this level loads, it's going to start at 260. And of course this is pretty illogical since we don't have anything on the screen. I should have added some tiles, but like I said, we'll do that in the next video. So let's set this back to 0. If we have a character on the screen, for example, if we're doing a Mario game and we want Mario on the screen, we could select Mario from this list. We don't have any sprites yet, so we can't, and then we could click this button. Tension X and Tension Y, this tells us how close our character is to the edge of the screen before the camera begins to scroll. And scroll speed, pretty self-explanatory. We can move these sliders. Let's leave it at 50. Let's see if we can hit 50. Alright, and that's just how fast the camera will catch up to our character once it begins to scroll. Now right here we've got the object to control, and this is what this is the character that will be controlled by a keyboard. We could select from any of our sprites here. And we've got some functions down here. We automatically have can jump above screen. This means that even though we're one vertical screen, if our character was to jump above this spot, they could just jump completely off the screen and then come right back down. If you have this turned off, then once they hit this, it'll be as if they're hitting a ceiling and they'll come back down. Auto move. Now if we have our camera, the auto X and the auto Y of the camera, and this is going to be for like horizontal or vertical shooters, you can set it to where the camera can auto scroll in one direction. If we set this to 1, it means the camera is going to scroll to the left. I mean, the camera would actually move to the right, but the screen would appear to scroll to the left. If we set it to 1. If we set it to -1, it would be just the opposite. So auto move with camera is what you would want to do with, like, if you're doing like a Gradius type of game, you want the sprite to move as the camera moves. As an example, in Super Mario World, there were levels where the camera would automatically move, but Mario wouldn't move. And so it's sort of like a tension type of level. And you could do that if you turn that off. Must stay on screen X, must stay on screen Y. This will basically lock you onto the screen. For example, if you set the camera to auto scroll, then if your character was all the way to the left and you had must stay on screen X set, then the camera would push him. Also, if the camera stopped scrolling, they wouldn't be able to run off the screen as well. And they won't be able to run off the screen if they're going to run off the map. So it works on a few different levels, but you could play with these functions and then run around the screen and kind of see what happens. Transitions. This is what happens when the level first loads and the level first plays. We've got a few different types of transitions. We've got quick, and you can set the speed, and you can set how long it waits until it begins playback. So, for example, when a level first loads and a level first plays, it's going to start on a black screen. And then if you set it to, for example, to vertical transition, then you're going to have these bars, these vertical bars that pull open to reveal the level. You got horizontal, you've got a standard fade, an old standard fade. We've got dissolve, which is sort of a pixelated type of effect, kind of like emulating the old retro effect. We can set how fast it is. We've also got a wait function. We can click this, and this wait means, we got a couple of these, means we're not going to be able to control our character until this transition is done completing. Good grammar. Down here we've got some other stuff. The music track for this level will automatically play once the level begins. The cutscene, which is what we're going to talk about in the next video when we do cutscenes for our title screen. We've got another wait button here we can click. And what that's going to do is it means we cannot control our character until the cutscene has completed. And then we've got a script. We can do scripts. We'll talk about scripts much later. And then we've got screen graphic. This is basically an interface. And let's say enable this. You don't see anything happening, but let's edit the graphic. Let's just create a fake screen graphic right here. And we're just going to do a little smiley face. Let's just have a little smiley face here. And you'll notice there's our smiley face in the upper left hand corner of the screen. Screen graphics 640 by 480. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. And this is for just basically doing something to as an interface. As an example, Super Mario Brothers had that black bar across the top of the screen where all the data was. Actually, no, it didn't. I'm wrong. It wasn't Super Mario Brothers. There's one of my errors. It appeared it did on level 1-2 because the bricks only went so high. I'm trying to think of an example of a game that had that. I can't think of one, but essentially, if I could think of one, hopefully you can think of one. But if we enable it, it's just basically an interface. It goes on top of everything except the score and the timer. And if we want to edit our score and our timer, if we don't want to show that on the screen, we can turn all of that off. Just go to the scoring panel. And we click this little triangle to go to our different settings. Initial level settings is where we came from. We've got our tiles, backgrounds, which is our parallax scrolling, sprites and behaviors, which is all of our characters, all of our game animations, timer, scoring, which is what we're on now, sounds, where we can import sound effects and edit our sound effects, inventory, player lives, any sort of weapons or power-ups that you pick up. Game over. What happens when a game over occurs? What type of script does it play? Music or cutscene? Scripts. And then level clearing. How do you end the level? What happens when the level ends? Or how do you make the level end? And so we draw the score to the screen, and we've got score text selected. We can select there, and see we can change the color. We can change the font. Change the font size. Let's reset that. I don't even remember what font I was using. There we go. Maximum score. Now the point of this is old school games, and this is really about making retro arcade games more than anything else. You can make a lot of types of games, but that's what this is really focused on. The way that they used to operate was they didn't just sit there and have like a score of 0 and then more zeros would be added. They always had the numbers in advance. I'm not exactly sure why they did this. Maybe just for visual reasons, so that the score didn't end up stretching itself out. But we're doing it the same way. And you can actually, the maximum score isn't the maximum score you can achieve. You can go above that, but this is the maximum score that will show up. But you can continue to go above that score. draw score pop-ups. This is we got a bunch of different ones. We can change the speed, and we can do the pop-up score. We can change the font there as well, and change the font size, make it really big, change the color. So this is anytime you collect score by picking up an item or hitting an enemy. As an example, you know when you jump on an enemy in Super Mario Brothers, little points pop out. This is the exact same thing. So anytime points are accumulated from two sprites doing something, as I said, damaging or picking something up, this is what's going to pop up. This is the score pop-up. So that's how that works. And there's a bunch of different ones you can choose from. You can just do stop, where it just sits there and disappears. You can have it go up and disappear. You can have it go down and disappear. So you got a bunch of different ones that you can do. And I like, which one do I like? I like that one right there. That's the Super Mario Brothers score pop-up as well. So that's scoring. Let's see, what else can we look at real quick. Oh, let me go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and hide all this, because in the next video we're gonna do the title screen. So we're not gonna have any of this showing. Although a lot of all the old retro arcade games did have the score showing on the title screen. So here's the timer. And let's see, this is pretty simple stuff. How much time? We're 90 seconds. Bonus points per second. You see 90 times 100 is 9,000. So we're going to get 100 bonus points for every tick left. And we can edit all these fonts as well, selecting between these different ones. We can say kill the player when the time expires, and then it'll just reload the level. We can choose the script to run when the time is up. So if we wanted to play some music or delay what happens until the next level happens or something along those lines, we can do that as well. That's what we can do there. But once again, we're just going to hide all of this. So now let's take a look at level clearing. We have level completion conditions, and for each one you click here, for example, timer reaches 0. That means once the game timer hits 0, the level is complete, and then it'll go to the next level. Down here we set which level to play next. We can right click this to say it's a game over, meaning we've played through all the levels, then we go to game over. And we set our game over stuff through game over, and this is just a music track, a cutscene, and a script. And then once all of these have completed playing, then it'll go back to level 0, which is the title screen. Now if you set a high score and you're playing online, it'll take you to the high score section where you can upload your webcam picture and stuff like that. So back here to level completion, there's several ways to complete a level. If all the hostiles are eliminated, a single player death. Now you're probably saying, why would I want to complete a level when my character dies? Well, you may be doing like a survival type of game. Maybe you set up 10 levels, and if the object is to stay alive as long as possible, because you can get more points that way, and then once you die you go to the next level and then the next and see how many points you have overall. Disable controls on completion, meaning once one of these conditions has been met, we'll take away the controls of the player. And then transition, this is pretty much the opposite as the initial level settings, where it would fade in, now it's going to fade out, and then it'll load the next level. We've got music track, cutscene, script, and it won't go to the next level until all of these have completed. So once the level begins to complete, once one of these conditions has been met, it then has to, if you have a music track set up, it'll play the entire music, and then it'll go. The cutscene, it'll play the entire cutscene. The script has to run entirely. And then you can select your next level from here, or you can right click it for game over. Next, we're going to look at inventory. I'll cover this in a later video, but we're going to look at it very briefly. So you start off with one inventory item, and it's called lives. We can make new inventory items by clicking one of these blank slots, or we can right click to delete this item. And you'll see that this acts as player lives. So this is our lives. Any item that you collect, anything that's accumulative that's not score, goes into here. So we start with 3 lives, and we have a maximum of 99. We can draw this to the screen. We can draw the amount to the screen as well. And we can change the font settings for the number as well. So leave it that way, but we don't want to draw this to the screen. You can even do an animation. If you have a sprite, you can choose an animation from a sprite. And let's see, when using this item, we have the modify attributes, and this is just all sorts of things we can set. We can make ourselves walk faster, we can change our gravity, our jump height, we can have more armor, we can attack stronger. We can do a sprite swap. So if we wanted to do, for example, Mario, you have Big Mario and Small Mario, you can say when you use a mushroom, you swap to Big Mario, and then if he dies, meaning Big Mario you set Big Mario for 1 hit point, and that'll kill him once he takes damage. You can swap him back to Little Mario, so you can do it that way. Amount of item counts as a timer. The way that this works is once you use an item, and you'll use an item, there's a lot of different ways to use an item. You'll do it through behaviors. You can set an item to be automatically used, or you can set a button to use the item. But none of that is set in inventory. That's set in your behaviors. But you can say it acts as a timer. So every second you're going to lose one item, and then once it runs out, it'll deactivate that item. So this is for using the item. Like I said, we'll use an item through behaviors. You'll be able to set using an item. And now the way inventory works is every level has its own inventory, and levels can share inventory. So if we have lives and we set this on every single level, then the first time a level loads that recognizes that lives are used on that level, we'll get 3 lives. So even though you use lives on every level, you're only going to get your 3 lives once. You're starting 3 lives once. Even if you don't use lives on a level and use it later on, it's still only going to count once. So it adds it to the inventory one time to make it less confusing. You may have levels where you have different inventory than other levels. You may make a game where maybe for the first few levels you play as one character, and then for the next few levels you play as a different character, and they have different inventory. So that's how you can do that. And you can very quickly use the copy from command to copy your inventory on level settings. You can copy it from one level to another, and when you create a level, you can do that as well. Copy current level settings into new level. So you can copy everything except the tiles and the sprites that are on the screen. Over here on navigation, we've got some of the different panels that we can work with. These are more major features. World Builder, that's what we're in right now. We can go to Write Music, which is the music composer, Edit Cabinet, and down here we've got button names. We'll probably show this in another video as well. But this allows you, when someone hits the tab button to open up their controls panel, this allows them to set each. Ian Kinsler just hit a home run for the Rangers in the bottom of the first inning, so that's nice. 1-0 Texas. I got baseball in the background. I'm sure you've detected my southern accent. But anyways, back to this. So you can set up your button names. Jump right here. So when they open up their panel, they're just going to see the J button for jump, and then they can set that button. And so you want to just kind of set this up to name each of your buttons. So if you have button 1, the red button, if you want this to be like an action button, and it's always going to be an action button for your character, you can put this here as well. And you'll need to set that up so that people can set their own individual controls. And they'll automatically have controls for left, right, up, and down as well. So cutscenes, we're going to be showing this in the second video. This is where you make all your animations that don't deal directly with players. It's basically like sort of like a old school animation editor, kind of like a video editor. Really, you'll be able to drag and drop assets onto the screen, play music, play scripts, all sorts of fun stuff. And edit my controls. This is pretty much what players are going to see when they're playing one of your games. So we can click Z, for example, press a key for jump. Let's set the F key. Let's change it back to Z. I prefer Z for that. And so loading screen, this last thing I'm going to show you before we move on to some very specific things. Loading screen. This is only used, well, as it says, for web games only. So if you upload your game to arcadecounty.com, this is what people are going to see during the loading screen. The bar is going to move across here for all the files, and there's going to be some text right above here. So you can change this. You can open this from the disk, and you can change it. You can set loading music, so you can have a music track play during the loading screen. You can right-click this to clear it. Always right-click your text boxes to clear them if they can be cleared, to set them to nothing. So load original, you see it didn't do anything because this is the original. So if you want to have a specific loading screen for your game, if you want to maybe have some text up here, advertising. Now you can't click a link. We're not putting any links in there because we don't want people putting any malicious links or anything in their games. But if you wanted to advertise something else, you put a little banner ad here for something. Advertising your personal page or something along those lines, you could do that as well. And so that's a basic overlook of the layout of Arcade County, and that should be a little bit, just a taste to get you started. And then check out the next videos where we get into some specific contents and ideas for creating your Arcade County games.